Hello and welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. Joe, we made it. It's the offseason. How we doing?
Great. And the good news is I never have to talk about this Flyers team ever again, right?
Right? Like, yeah,
right?
we don't have to podcast. We don't have to look back at anything. We're just looking forward. It's all future thinking, all future thinking here. We can enjoy the playoffs and not have to think about how the Flyers couldn't keep up with any of these teams and these type of games. Just all in the past. All in the past.
My parents, I text them whenever a good playoff matchup is on, and they will text me, "Oh boy, they play so fast." And I'm like, yeah. Flyers would not be able to hold it together, would they?
Probably not. Maybe if they could just play one line and they turn off fatigue and just have max stamina and just play their top line, top D pairing for the whole game. They could be okay. This is why I wish in soccer you could loan players to other teams. I wish that was a thing in the NHL where you could loan Konechny to a team for a mid round or second round pick.
Or if the Flyers made the playoffs, they could borrow Tage Thompson.
I mean, they're going to have Tage Thompson next time they make the playoffs. They're not.
Oh, okay. What if the Flyers are one of his no trade teams?
Oh no, he'll come here. He'll come here.
No, but there have been no surprise playoff games yet, right? St. Louis made it interesting for a spell, but I don't think an underdog won any.
No, underdog has. I mean, Colorado was the away team, but they won
pretty handily.
Yeah, they won. I mean, 5. Yeah, in the end, 5-1, but it was much closer than that. Mackenzie Blackwood has been great for them, but I mean, yeah, it looked like the Jets were gonna fool us again. It's gonna we're all right. They're losing. They went down 1-0, 2-1, and then 3-2, and then they had to come back. I mean, dominant third period by them, but yeah, I mean, the Jets have done this year afterwards. So I mean, It looks like they maybe finally got those demons. Game 2 tonight, but yeah, we'll see.
What was Hellebuck's save percentage that game? Not good, right? It was pretty weak, right?
Not good. I think the Blues only had less than 20 shots.
17 shots. 3 goals on 17 shots, 14 saves. That is not no. That's not good. Maybe they shouldn't have played him for how many games?
A lot.
63. Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah. Speaking of dumb things, all those fans just whining about, oh no, the Flyers are ruining their future by winning games here. Oh no, they got Bradshaw and they're winning for him now. Fourth best draft lottery odds. We're good. We're fine. Just play Kolosov, Fedotov in the final few games, and you'll be good there.
Didn't Tortorella say a year or two ago, maybe the hockey gods will smile upon us because we didn't go out and tank? Guess what? The hockey gods smiled upon us because the Flyers didn't go out and tank. Oh, they could have had the third best. No, they couldn't. How many games? They would have needed to lose 4 more games?
Yeah, no. The Predators were bad. They were just a bad hockey team this year for some reason.
And then the Sharks and the Blackhawks, uncatchable. No, you're not catching them.
8 points more than the Preds. Preds had 7 more than the Blackhawks. Blackhawks had 9 more than the Sharks. The Sharks, 52 points in 82 games. And they were a fun team. I mean, Sharks fans had a great time this season. Celebrini, Will Smith. I mean, shitty goaltending with Borgia there. They have Askarov now. So their future is pretty bright. And that's
stunning.
Yeah, that's one of the way the Flyers could go this next offseason. Is all right, use our picks, maybe trade up to get Misa and have him play in the NHL right away, and go the Sharks route where you play fun hockey, but you lose a lot. Or you can look at the Canadians. The Canadians have a bit more talent than the Flyers. They have Nick Suzuki, he's a legit 1C. Cole Caulfield, great goal scorer. Slavkovsky, Patrick Laine there. Lane Hudson's a great young defenseman, but they were a team that mid-season they were talking about, should we fire Martin St. Louis? And they now made the playoffs. We'll see how they perform against the Caps, but that's there's so many different paths to rebuilding. It's just finding the right way for your organization, and the Flyers clearly have their path with their culture first, talent second. Which, I mean, they've 7 mean, culture first, talent is equal as well, but it's finding the right talent and not just going out and getting like an Artemi Panarin or Patrick Kane, getting the right people in the room.
Provided they do not fall down in the draft board, which could happen, a team could jump them. The Flyers will finish with more top 5 picks than the Detroit Red Wings had during their rebuild years. And I'm counting Gauthier as a top 5 pick here, even though he's no longer with the organization. You have to still count that as a pick. The Red Wings had 1. Lucas Raymond. That was it.
Where did Seider get drafted?
6th.
6. Okay, so you're cherry picking some stats there. But top 5. I mean, people do say you say top 5. You don't say top 6. That's
yeah,
true.
Exactly. That's what people say. They say top 5 pick. They don't say top 6. They don't say top 7. If we're talking top 7, I think the Flyers still have them beat because the Red Wings were drafting like 9th all the time. So, and if you want to factor in Nolan Patrick during the actual rebuild years, then but hey. 4th, and I do think they might be able to swing a trade with the Chicago Blackhawks. I know that's a hot take. Nobody would trade a 2nd overall pick, but Chicago could use some size in their forward group, like a Porter Martone, perhaps, or an Roger McQueen.
Roger McQueen, yeah. And looking at like some of the draft rankings, well, Tankathon has like tier 1 as the top 4, and then tier 2 as 4. I'm not sure. I'm trying to pull up Pronman's most recent one. I'm not sure what kind of tiers he has, but
he has Schaefer, and then he has in tier 2 he has Misa, Higgins, and Martone, I think.
Maester is Desnoyers 3rd.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's really high on Desnoyers.
Yeah, he compares Desnoyers to Hischier. He compares Misa to Sagan. Then he has after that he has James Higgins, who he compares to William Nylander, who he's Leafs had a good game there. So yeah, the tier 1 is 1, tier 2 is 4 or 5. So, and we've seen Briere. This is Briere's 3rd draft. The first draft, Michkov fell right into their lap. Last year, we saw them trade. They tried to trade up. They traded back. So like, I feel like I said this last year, I feel like there's a better than 50% chance they either trade up or trade back. They either have their eye on a guy like Misa, where they go up, like, all right, Schaefer's going 1. Let's see if we can get 2. Let's see if we can get Misa. And if not, then there's that group of like Desnoyers, maybe Frandel, those guys in there that maybe they can trade back from 4 to 6, get an extra 2nd round pick. I don't know.
A fifth 2nd round pick for this
Why
year?
Why not?
Oh. No, I couldn't do it. I think if you're going to finish at 4, you draft 4th and don't take a risk. Although I am glad to see Caleb Desnoyers getting some love, because I have had to go into the BSH comments. We love you, commenters, and be like, guys, he's a legit prospect. He's not just some like 2-way 3C that's going to go in the top 10. Like, he's a legit good player, and better yet, more of a facilitator for all of the goal scorers that the Flyers already have in Michkov or Tippett if he can hit the net, or maybe Tyson Forster if he gets that shot off, right?
Forster,
so if the Flyers finish at 4th and they draft Caleb Desnoyers today, I would be okay with that. We'll see how I feel come June, but for now, I'm like, I could talk myself into Caleb Desnoyers.
Yeah, I really want to go back and like look at some rankings from like last August, and then like December, and then March, and then like May, once the draft lottery is finally confirmed, and see like, because like we've seen a bunch of these guys in the top 5 and like drop out to like 7. Like Higgins was 1 for a while. He's at 4 or 5, even lower for some people. Frandel, Desnoyers, like there's plenty of centers there, and it's just getting the top 4 pick was important, because you can fall to 6 and that's it. And maybe they will, and that's perfectly fine. But I could very well, I'd be fine with them trading up. I'd be fine trading their their highest pick, and then another 1st round pick to move up. Like
would you trade both?
All 3 1st round picks
to get up to 2?
I don't think so. I think I might trade a 2nd in there, because these are just currency. They're assets. Like, you think about the trade, think about the picks they got.
Well,
the Avalanche pick is for Sean Walker. Like, that's like, all right. The Flames pick was for Austin Farabee. The Blue Jackets pick was in that Provorov trade that they've already won, because they got Sean Walker in a 1st round pick.
The Edmonton pick was for Claude Giroux. kind of
wonky
way to get there.
Like they haven't given up a lot for these picks. And it's funny how when the draft rolls around, everyone wants these picks. Everyone's like, oh, you can't waste these picks. But during the season, like, oh, they're lottery tickets. Who cares? You draft picks don't mean anything.
They could be a boat. But the thing if one of the teams, if the Oilers or the Avs win the cup, that becomes pick 32. You know what the Flyers' second round pick is? 36. Like you could make a case, you could make the argument and say the Flyers' second round pick is close in value to if the Avs win the cup, the Avalanche first, you know? So the Flyers actually kind of insulated themselves well here. The Avs and the Oilers cannot both go to the Stanley Cup final. One of them is going to be earlier than 30.
They could go to the Western Conference final, though. But yeah, that's
right. One would be 29. The other one would be 31.
Yeah, and at that point, I feel like the Flyers will have enough of a group where they can either get one that fell to them or trade down or whatnot. But yeah, the second round order has been confirmed because there's no lottery effects there. Their own pick 36, the Ducks pick is 40, Blue Jackets pick 45, and Calgary is 48. So 7 picks in the top 48. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
The lower 48.
The lower 48.
The lower 48. All right. But yeah. Cool. Draft time, baby.
Draft time. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting 2 months. When is the draft this year? NHL draft 20
May 5th or something?
No, the draft, not the lottery.
Oh, sorry. Should we do like a lottery stream?
We'll definitely do a lottery stream. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, we'll have that coming. Yeah, but great. Yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed here to the Broad Street Hockey YouTube channel. Going to be a lot of streams going on in the off season. I know Kyle's working on a bigger exit interview coach video coming out today. Also subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple and Spotify. We appreciate those as well. The draft is on Friday. Yeah, ring that bell, baby.
Ring that bell.
Friday, June 27th and Saturday, June 28th. So a little bit more than 2 months here of fun talking about draft picks.
That's the great thing about being an NHL fan. My birthday is July 1st, so draft weekend is always like right alongside my birthday.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
that's a good time.
Good time. All right.
Yeah, let's get into. We're almost 15 minutes into the podcast. We want to do Briere's breakup presser. It's 28 minutes long. We're gonna have it on 1.5 times speed. So apologies to anyone that can't quite make it out what it was. I was gonna do 2 times speed.
Yeah,
Joe was like, "Wait, that's way too fast. That's way too fast." So
yeah, it was like listening to one of the Chipmunks, and I'm like, "Danny Briere." It's like, whoa, I can't do that one.
I mean, I listen to podcasts sometimes on like 2.5 speed. So like, I mean, just got to get massive. I can't be alone with my thoughts, Joe. I gotta have something going at all times.
But I'm cooking in the kitchen. I like having my podcast kind of as like a nice, even tempo ambiance in the background. You know,
like a nice countdown, Broad Street Hockey countdown video. Like a.
That's why I was like doing the DJ like head bob. Yeah. All right. Anyway, cue the video.
Let's get to the video. I'm gonna try to pause it after every question or so to react to it. Yeah. So here, let me share the screen here. Where is it? There we go.
Hi, Danny.
Here's Danny. Look at those guns. He's looking good. Danny's still looking good. Doesn't have too many gray hairs yet from 2 years on the job.
Yeah.
But here we go.
Is the coaching decision the number one priority on your to-do list here heading to the offseason?
In the short run, I think it's fair to say that'll probably be one of the first thing or one of the most important thing we address. To be honest, we haven't started yet interviewing or really even making a short list yet. We the last couple of days I've met with the players, went through the year-end interviews with the players. So that's been kind of in the last day and a half my work. There's different things. I haven't met with the coaches yet. I haven't met with the rest of the staff. So that'll come in the next few days. It'll be the next step. But there's no doubt that the coaching search will be an important one.
When you talk to the players, how much of their input will go into what you do as far as putting together a list of what attributes the next coach should have?
I think sometimes the players will give you some information on how they feel. But I think we're around the team, we're around the dressing room enough to understand what we need and what's needed moving forward with the players that we have, and where we're at. So I think it's a little bit unfair to ask the players to comment on, what exactly has happened with Torts or what exactly they want in the next coach. And I think you go a little bit more indirectly and to try to find out what what they feel would work best for the team that we have, not going specifically for them. I don't think that's fair for the players.
And what qualities do you want in the next coach?
First of all, I always believe communication is important. So that's going to be something we look into. I mentioned on or the day after, was it the same day, we let go of Torts. Someone that can come in and teach will be an important one as well. Communication and teaching are probably two things that will be at the forefront of our next coach. Just when you have a young team in place, I really think those two attributes are extremely important.
Sometimes and this isn't every single situation, but a lot of times one coach leaves, the next coach is different. It's like a tough guy.
It'll be tough to find someone like Torts, to be honest.
But I guess, does that play in your thinking of, okay, well, we've had Torts, now we need maybe a softer hand?
Not necessarily. But again, I don't think there's very many options that are going to be, as demanding as Torts. So in that regard, our guys are pretty sturdy. They've learned the hard way under Torts. Anybody that comes in, will seem a lot milder than Torts, I would expect. So it's definitely going to be someone that's going to be less, I guess, vocal hard than Torts was.
When it comes to the current staff, Danny, obviously Bradshaw had came in as an interim.
Let's talk coach.
Yeah,
Let's talk to coach. Yeah,
we talked about it a bit right after Torts got fired, but I'm happy to wait and see even what the reports and rumors are about who they're looking at. I saw Jackie Spiegel reported that David Carl something about he's not on their short list or whatever, and people took that as they're not going to go after him. But what are your thoughts on the coach here?
Well, and today Rick Tocchet, apparently the Canucks are not using the team option, but have offered him an enormous boatload of money to try and get him to stay. I don't know. I just go back to Keith Jones saying, if we're doing something, you're probably not going to hear about it, because they have been really good at keeping things under wraps. They've been good at keeping secrets, whether it's trades, returns for trades, all that stuff. And with all the smoke around Tocchet or, David Carl's not on the list, who knows? They like to keep us guessing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Briere talks about this more with Shaw or whatnot, but Shaw did say he's willing to come back as an assistant. So it seems like they're going to keep him in the fold. If they can. From what I heard, I didn't really listen because Easter weekend. It was Friday morning, Saturday morning. I didn't really watch a lot of these yet, but the players seem to be on his side. As I would expect, and Shaw, we talked about, I'd be happy with him having another year or two, see what happens, but if someone better becomes available, I wouldn't mind going to a college coach maybe, or an assistant that's been around a bit. So the coach, I feel is one area where I trust Briere and Jones to find the right guy.
Yes, and also at BroadStreetHockey.com, and subscribe to today. One of my articles went up where I said that the most important decision the Flyers can make is not a roster change, and it's not even the head coaching position of the Philadelphia Flyers. It's the head coach of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can go out and hire two coaches in one summer. That's a lot. That might be too much to handle. But yeah, so maybe there will be more than one coaching change. Who knows?
Yeah, because the Phantoms next year are going to be just as important, if not more important, for player development in the future of the Flyers. They're going to have, Bonk, Barkey, Bjarnason, Bump players. Possibly. They have a bunch of these prospects that Briere drafted in his first draft coming through. So Briere's going to want some.
Yeah, hold on. 6. Barkey, Bonk, Bjarnason, Ciernik, Bump, and Kaplan. And maybe another one gets signed to an ELC. Mm-hmm. Barkey, Bonk, Bjarnason, Ciernik, all drafted in 2023. That was Danny Briere's first draft.
Yeah.
Bump and Kaplan, 2022 draft. Guess what? Danny was assistant to the general manager at the time. So he was closely involved with, or I would assume closely involved with, the drafting of those two players. Trusting all of their development with the current Phantoms coaching staff is a risk, I think. But I don't know. We'll see how the summer pans out.
Yeah, the Phantoms are in the playoffs. Starts kicking off on Wednesday night, playing those Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. So a best of 3 series there. Wednesday on the road, Friday at home, and then game 3, if necessary, looks like might be Sunday. I'm trying to scroll here, but I can't see. But yeah,
hey, the Bears, the what are they? The Hershey Bears. They might be beatable this year. All of their players are with the Capitals right now.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah. All right, let's go back to Briere.
Oh, by the way, a quick note. Neither Gilbs nor myself have watched this entire
this is my first time hearing it, reacting to it live. I figured rather than doing it like before the podcast and like taking notes, we just do it live, and fuck it, we'll do it live. Yes.
Right. Doing pretty well. Where's his standing, I guess, in this whole surge, and also the rest of the coaching staff, and maybe more specifically, Rocky was in the spotlight a little bit because of power play.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We haven't had those talks. So since the season ended, the focus has been on the players. In the next few days, we'll start diving into the staff and the coaches, the staff downstairs that work around the players. So as far as Shazi goes, he did a really good job coming in. It was kind of a different approach than obviously Torts had, and some guys really stepped up and seemed like they were a little freer. Shazi will be in the running. We'll consider him. He's done a good job, and we've been impressed with him since he was here. Even under Torts, so he'll be in the running. But again, we're not at that stage yet.
And you have to align your timeline for the team with a new coach's timeline on the job. What I mean by that is you could conceivably hire someone who's never coached in the NHL before and might need time to learn on the job. Are you comfortable with that, given the timeline of the roster and the way you guys are building? So if you guys are ready to win now, you might hire someone different.
Yeah, I think it's part of it. You try to be careful with that too. You want to bring, because if you find the right coach that you also believe can take you there, but also help you win, that's a no-brainer. It will depend on who's available. I think I'll have a better gauge for that once, I start the interview process and we start like kind of having a short list to that. There's hopefully you find a coach that can kind of do it all. And most coach will tell you that they can do it all, but some have not. And if it's a rookie coach, I guess we'll learn along the way. So it's going to be tough to tell. But at this point, I don't know yet. I don't have that short list to kind of decide that.
Can you kind of take us through Alexei Kolosov, what kind of went on this year and the decisions to have him up here but not play?
I can't, unfortunately, get in very much detail on Alexei. It was a tough year for him. There's no doubt about it. But he says he learned a lot. And he wasn't quite happy with the year that he had, but he feels that he learned a lot being here.
This is kind of a two-parter. Do you have?
That's interesting about Kolosov, how he says he can't get into like the details of it. It makes it almost seem like there was some like handshake agreement, like, all right, we'll keep you up in the NHL for the money or just for whatever, and then reconfigure things in the offseason.
I mean, I'm so over Alexei Kolosov that I just do not care. Like, he can stay, he can go, he can get traded. I'm not concerned. But look, kid, you have not proven to be an NHL goaltender. Not a single team in the league is going to take you, given your performance this season. Like, you're stuck, man. Just, yeah. But if they can't talk about it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, what do we really want Briere to say there? Like, yeah, he didn't play well. We wanted to keep him up. I mean, he played 17 games with the Flyers, .867 save percentage, 12 with the Phantoms, .884. Like,
not even 30 games.
29 games in total.
God, what was the point of all this, dude?
This year's goaltending was just, who knows? It was just Sam Harrison and a bunch of guys there.
No, I'm not ready to give up on Sammy Ayres yet.
No, not yet.
All
right,
roll on.
Maybe like a timeline for when you would like to hire a coach. Like, do you think it could be next month? Could it go in June?
I don't yet. Like I said, we haven't had those discussions yet, so I don't have an idea at this point.
And the other part was just, I know when John was hired, there was a lot of people involved in the hiring. I think there was like an independent firm, I believe, that helped you guys put together, I think, like the candidate profile. Yeah. Just wondering if there's going to be something similar to that in this process.
We're not going to go on the outside with an independent firm, but obviously we'll have a lot of people inside the organization involved with that.
You guys obviously finished with the fourth place record in the league this year, but we talked to a lot of players yesterday, and it seems like a lot of them are pretty confident that, not that you guys are going to turn into a contender overnight, but that you could be a significantly better team next year. Now, obviously, a lot of that's dependent upon the moves made this summer.
Do you envision a summer where you think you can make enough moves to push this team back at least into maybe where you were last season?
Yeah, it's no secret. I think last year we probably overachieved from what the expectations were. This year we underachieved, but I still feel that we're a much better team and much closer than where we finished in the standings. I've always said the players would kind of dictate that. There's guys that really took a big step forward. There's a few guys that regressed, but I don't think we're that far off. I think we're at a stage now where we're going to shift a little bit from subtracting from the roster into trying to start to add and help the team. The first 2 years, or the last 2 years, I should say, there's a lot of trying to figure out what we had under our belt, where were our players and where were we moving forward. Now we're starting to have our, the players that we feel moving forward. The exciting part for me is all the young guys that have taken a step in the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden, the guys that we started drafting a couple of years ago are starting to turn pro. And you want that internal competitiveness to force the guys. And that was kind of my message to the players, to a lot of the players, is that we're getting to a point now where the guys that we were drafting a couple of years ago are starting to turn pro. I wrote a list here of the guys that are like kind of coming on now that are pushing for a job. Luchenko, Bump, Dorwart, Kaplan, Barkey's turning pro. We traded for Gurbenkin. That's 6 guys that are pushing that didn't really have a role until the trade deadline. On defense, is Jinning, Andre, Grans, McDonald, Bunk is turning pro. Those are all guys that are pushing for a spot as well. To me, that's the exciting part. And that was my message to the players is 3-4 years ago, we didn't have a lot of prospect. We had one prospect that was pushing to make a team here and there. And now we are starting to see guys starting to come. And the following year is going to be even more. All that combined, the guys cannot be satisfied with where they are. And I think when you start creating that internal competition, it forces them to take a next step. The other part of it is removing or subtracting some of the contracts. I've created a little bit of cap space going into next season that we didn't think we would have until the following summer. So there's a little bit of a window to add from the outside. We're not going to be able to fix every problem, but it would be nice to be able to, if the situation is right, to add a player or two to come in and help on that front, and that also should help taking a step forward. It's an area that we would like to, just like there's many of them, but it's definitely an area that we need along the way some better play, and maybe it's from the outside. It has to make sense, but yeah, it's an area that we need to be better at.
All right, let's
yeah,
that first thing is the quote that everybody got pissed off about. Yeah, I think it's time that we start adding to make the team better. And everybody's like, "Oh no, the team's not ready. It's not ready. It's not time."
You got Gavin McKenna next year. You got to tank for McKenna,
and then tank for someone in 2026, and then tank for someone else in 2026. No, I read it more as like, hey, we have a very clear picture of where our needs are. He just talked about goaltending. That's a very clear need. Center, obviously, clear need. Here's the thing, though. He always qualifies all of this with, it has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It has to make sense. This is not like your dad's Flyers that are going to wheel and deal and add, Ilya Brizgalov to an infinity years contract. Like, they're not that, or at least I would hope they're not that compulsive. So, I guess we'll see. But I like him listing off all the names of the young players that are turning pro. That, he's right. Like, we've got a lot of players coming.
There was one name on that list that really surprised me that was included with that group. Do you have a guess as to who it is?
Dorwart?
Emil Andre. Emil Andre has, he's in that age range, but like we thought very highly of him early in the year. And I feel like that
what happened?
only got, I know he got hurt at some point, so maybe he's been nursing that and wasn't playing 100%, but like, I think he's someone that has to come in training camp and fight for a spot, because Zamula's there. We'll see if they have Risto still. McDonald might be fighting for a spot. Like, that's going to be interesting to watch. It's a blue line battles. I'm not going to go in too much into the subtracting to adding, because last show, 2 shows ago, I went into my my big off-season plan. And the Broad Street Hockey Slack is going to be sick of me bringing up John Gibson until the Flyers get a different goalie. You know how Gabe from The Office yells "Shut up about the sun." It's going to be "Shut up about Gibson." That's what it's going to be there. But yeah, this is a time like we talked about it before. Like, it took away Frost, took away Farabee, took away Lawton. Like, they have to fill those gaps with NHL players and players coming up. So they'll get a goalie, they'll get some pieces. And one of the first things he said was like, they were a better team, but, and he didn't say it, but goaltending brought them down. And looking at the advanced metrics, depending which one you value the most, like expected goals for percentage, they had 9th best. But Corsi for percentage, which is raw shot totals, so shot attempts, block shots, missed shots, all of that, they were 9th worst. And then looking at scoring chances for, they were 20th at 48.58%, but high danger scoring chances for, they were up at 9th. So like they were definitely better than the record shows, because 5-on-5 save percentage, 889, worst in the league. Shooting percentage 929, which was, middle of the pack there. But this is a team that, a lot of these teams I feel like are better than their record shows, but they have the pieces, and that's the big thing. They have the pieces. Michkov, Forster, Brink. I think next year needs to be another year of figuring out what these young guys are, because like they have a lot of guys that might just be third liners, and you can't have too many third liners. You got to trade them out for other pieces. So right. I wouldn't mind if next year is another, all right, let's evaluate and then go not all in, but go bigger next offseason.
I do think we need to reevaluate what we mean when we say third liner. Do we mean third liner or do we mean middle sixer? Because like there's a big difference between those two. I hear a lot of people.
I mean third liner. Like Bobby Brink, I think, is a third liner. Jacob Pelletier is a third liner. Owen Tippett, middle sixer. He can be a second. He can be hopefully a good second liner.
Noah Cates.
Maybe Noah Cates. I think he's a third line center.
Really?
I mean, on a contending team, like you look at the Lightning, like Anthony Cirelli is their second line center, and Cates is nowhere near how good Cirelli is. And like, obviously that's one of the best teams in the league, one of the best center depths in the league, but maybe on this team is a second line center. I think next year he could be with Luchenko, Cates, Couturier, Paling, whoever else you throw in there. But I just feel like he's probably at his ceiling. He's older than we think. I love him. He's a great two-way player. I think he'll get some love in the Selke Trophy. But 37 points in 78 games, like I think that's.
What about Forster?
Forster, I think top sixer. Honestly,
top sixer.
Yeah. But when I say like the third liners, it's like Brink, Pelletier, Grabenkin. Well, we haven't seen him in the NHL yet, but like guys like that. Paling's a fourth liner, but like those guys that you don't want to have 4 third lines moving forward. You got to figure out who can be high-end talent.
Right. I will just add him mentioning Andre is interesting. I don't really consider Ginning as like a legitimate NHLer. He's probably like a fine number 6 or 7. Andre is the oldest, I think, of the group that he just mentioned at 23. So the rest of them all younger, except for Ginning.
Jinning's
25. That's why I'm discounting him here.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't think he can be much. But
no,
if you're including Andre, he's the oldest of the pack, so that's interesting to me. All right,
Andre's gonna be exciting to watch with the Phantoms in the playoffs. Hopefully, they can get past a round or two.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's roll on here.
And his injury and where his health was.
Yeah, so Risto, against a little freaky, but right after the trade deadline, had to get checked, and they figured out that he needed to go under the knife for another surgery on his arm. So he's going to be out until probably the early parts of next season, unfortunately.
Is it the same process?
Yeah, very similar injury. Yeah.
Tear the muscle again?
I don't know exactly, but he needed to go under a very similar injury that he had last year.
When did he have the surgery?
I don't know the details of that. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Do you think he can miss games next season?
It's possible that he misses the beginning of the season, yeah.
You have 4 RFAs.
That's not good. Risto not going to be traded this offseason then. I don't think a team will take a chance on him, given the fact that he's been injured at the end of each of the last 2 seasons now. So, and I'm fine with that.
He's going to Ellis Island.
I'm perfectly fine with keeping Ristolainen. I posted about this on Blue Sky when Neil Pionk got his big contract. He got 6 years, $7 million, and Risto's at
5.1.
2 more years, 5.1. Like he's fine to have as a second pair guy. Maybe flip him at next trade deadline, but
or the deadline after.
Yeah, it's not really to the point where it's like you got to trade this guy. He's not hurting the team. Like it's just whatever. Like ideally, you'd like to move him for assets, but it's fine to have. He's a good presence on the right hand side
Yeah.
for these younger guys coming up, like an Andre, like a York who's still finding his way. Kind of. Maybe they bring up McDonald to help be mentored by him. Like who knows?
Yeah, he's not hurting the team. He's hurting his arm.
For
everyone.
I do wonder why it took that long to find that, though, because he was injured before Four Nations, and that was pretty much a month before the trade deadline. And
that wasn't that something else though.
I don't know, but that month is big because if he's coming back in November, it could have been October. If he's coming back in October, it could have been September. It's just,
I guess,
especially in a lost season, you want to try to find that as soon as possible.
Look, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Risso's taking a roster spot. He's blocking the young players." If he's hurt and not playing, he's not blocking anybody. The roster spot's there. If he ends his time with the Flyers on Ellis Island, then that's a spot. I don't want that to happen, but that's a spot that a young player can step into.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're he listed those defensemen that are turning pro and need to step up. Who do you want on that list getting more playing time? Andre, I guess. Jennings? What is that face, Joe?
Sorry, I just opened the BSH Slack. Some breaking news from the Seattle Kraken. Apparently, they're firing Dan Bylsma after one season.
Interesting. That could be a name on the Flyers list. That he is someone that when you talk about, you got to see who's out there. He is more of the old school type, I guess, in Pittsburgh from 2008 to 2014. Won the Stanley Cup the first year, made the playoffs every year, then went to Buffalo, then went to Seattle. He had a lot of success with their AHL team last year. I think did they win the Calder Cup or made the final, and then
they won. I'm pretty sure they won one year.
Or was it did Hershey win last year? I don't know. Whatever it was,
Hershey
but
won last year.
Bylsma becoming available is probably gonna become a talking point for Flyers.
More interesting than that, his assistant coach was the first woman to be an assistant coach in the NHL.
Is she fired too?
I don't know. I don't know the rest of those details, but
I see Friedman reporting it now. That's interesting.
Maybe she's going to be the head coach.
Maybe
of the Seattle Kraken. That'd be great. I'm so here for it. Is it Jessica Campbell? I don't know her.
I think it's Jessica Campbell, Kraken assistant. Yeah, Jessica Campbell. Yeah,
Jessica Campbell. Okay, cool. Let's roll.
Dan Bylsma goes. I need to read more about him, but I feel like he goes towards the top of my list. But yeah, let's continue here with with Briere. Well, he goes up there with Woodcroft and those other type of guys. I feel like could be the guy.
Right.
What's where do things stand with them, and are you planning on being involved?
Yes. On that front, we did have some talks along the way during the season. Not since the season ended, but it's something that we plan on getting back in the next couple weeks with them.
There's a lot of talk about potential offer sheets somewhere around the league. How do you look at that? I guess in terms of how much of a tool could that be to potentially?
That's what I was going to say. It's a tool that we're going to look into. It has to make sense. And the thing is when you go down that route, you have to overpay normally for a player. I don't know that we're that flush with money that we can really be all that aggressive. But we're certainly going to take a look at it, and if it makes sense, we'll consider it.
The 7 picks in the first 2 rounds.
Offer sheets. We've been talking about it. Elliot Friedman's been talking about it for the past few weeks now. He says Flyers are one of the teams to watch for offer sheets. But you look at the RFAs and Evan Bouchard, I don't think the Flyers need a defenseman like that.
No.
Noah Dobson, maybe he's better than Bouchard, but I don't know if they'll do that. Luke Hughes is going to stay in Buff and with the Devils. Bo Byram, Marco Rossi's obviously the big guy. JJ Peterka would be interesting from Buffalo as well. Buffalo has a few key RFAs. Maybe a Keandre Miller from the Rangers.
Pass on
Keandre Miller.
I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer.
Not a believer there. But I think the big question really, Mason McTavish would be great from Anaheim if they don't want to pay the cash there. But the big thing people have been talking about is not wanting to give up an unprotected first round pick in 2026.
I believe that as well. I'd be wary to give up that much. I mean, the Flyers kind of missed the boat on this. I swear to God, the option was to offer sheet Alexis Lafreniere 2 summers ago, or last summer. 2 summers ago?
I think it may have been 2 summers. Last summer was Natchez, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, should have done Lafreniere because the Rangers were capped out and had no way to match anything. The same situation that the Oilers were in last year, which is why they lost Broberg and Holloway. I don't think any teams are going to be in that position this year because A, the cap is going up. B, a lot of them have money coming off the books. You talk about the Wild. They have $14 million opening up this summer because the buyout penalties go away. You know, the Islanders traded Brock Nelson. They could just give that money to Dobson. You know, there's not the Ducks they like barely hit the cap floor, right? So
yeah.
I don't know if there's as much opportunity to really put the screws on a team and successfully offer sheet a player. I'm more worried about other teams trying to offer sheet maybe Tyson Forrester or target the Flyers because they are not, he just said, not as flush with cash as people think. But and they have more RFAs to sign. Also, as an aside, I think Broad Street Hockey should make a shirt that says it has to make sense on it because take a shot every time Danny Briere says it has to make sense.
Yeah, what I think this is the Flyers being like, oh, we're going to look at offer sheets. We're going to look at offer sheets and then use that as pressure to trade for Marco Rossi. I feel like that's going to be the thing. Like the Wild last night lost to the Golden Knights. That was a good game, 3-2. I think 4-2 with Brett Howden scoring in the final second of the game on the empty netter. But Marco Rossi, point per game player? No, 60-point player in 82 games, second on the team.
Scratched.
Centered, not scratched. He centered the third line. Thomas put in the Slack last night that Gaudreau was playing over him. He meant second line instead of third line. I thought he meant scratch. If he was scratched, like that shows where Rossi is in that hierarchy. But he's
look.
Not
I went to bed at like 9:30 last night. I was not up for the Wild Vegas game.
Yeah, but Marco Rossi, as long as the Flyers are okay with having an undersized center there, which I think is okay. You know, 5'9". He's 60 points this year.
Look at the man on the screen.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Undersized center? Come on.
And I think we were throwing around in the Slack Owen Tippett for Marco Rossi, something like that. Like get rid of, clear some space on the wing for a center. I feel like that's something that I would easily do.
Okay.
Tippett. I would do Tippett plus for Rossi.
I could get down with that. Tippett in a second.
Yeah,
Tippett in a third.
Tippett and Paling to give them a center back. Like teams were calling on Paling at the deadline.
Well, I think the Wild have some center prospects that could do what Paling does. I don't think that would move the needle for them too much.
So Zeev Buium made his NHL debut last night.
How'd that go?
Did not look very good. It's the playoffs. You're a rookie, but like
it's Vegas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, did not look great.
Cool. All right. Shall we continue?
Yeah, I believe the next question is about their picks.
This summer, do you envision making all the picks, or do you think you can maybe use some as to get creative and potentially add to your?
We're going to try to be creative to create some value there. That's the goal. When you make a trade, you try to create some value for your team. It's possible we use all picks, but there's a good chance that we look at different things. It could be acquiring a player, it could be packaging to move up, it could be pushing picks back to other years. There's no doubt that it's a lot of picks. 7 in the first 2 rounds, 8 I think inside the top 70. That's a lot of picks. And then when you look down the road in 2 years when these guys start to turn pro, that's a lot of players all in the same group. So we'll try to be careful, but it doesn't need to be done right away. If we don't like the value in return, we can make all the picks and then use those players as assets later on. So there's all kinds of possibilities here. I think it's really exciting going into it. Having it's powerful to have so many picks like that. I think a lot of teams will be wanting to have discussions with us to make some things happen. Teams that don't have picks or teams that want to tweak things.
Yeah, going back to the goaltending.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part of that for me is it didn't even cross my mind. You make all those picks, all of them turn pro at the same time. Like that's a lot of strain on the system, and it had never crossed my mind until I think someone in the Slack actually mentioned it a couple days ago. But hearing it again, I'm just like, had not thought about that.
Yeah, that is a good point to think about, because like you don't want all these guys coming up. And yeah, I mean, I love to hear it. You need to be open with these picks. I'll say it again: draft picks are currency, and once you make that pick, it's more like a gift card. You got to be like, all right, do you want this center? Do you want this winger? Do you want this defenseman? When the draft pick is like, all right, go get your guy. Go get whatever you want from the store.
Do you want an Applebee's gift card, or do you want a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse gift card? Or
Chili's gift card? What do you
Costco gift card? Chili's, yeah. TGI Fridays.
Ruby Tuesdays. Got to throw out all the other
Ruby Tuesday. Classic.
If it's a Raising Cane's gift card, I might be in for that one.
Still haven't had Raising Cane's. I apologize, everybody. No, but good stuff on the draft picks.
Yeah.
For a second, you mentioned about how it's a long-term problem. You guys need to address the goaltending position, but I guess how much of a short-term problem do you view it? Not even necessarily in terms of making the playoffs, but you guys have the worst save percentage in the league this year. If that's resulting in losses, do you worry that hurts the development of the defensemen who are watching pucks go into that all the time and the forwards start cheating?
Yeah, no, we try to be cognitive of that. At the same time, it goes hand in hand, right? Is it the goalie, or is it the forward that didn't back check, or the D-man that lost his Blair backdoor for an easy tap-in goal? So the goaltending wasn't good enough. That's a reality. But it's not. It's too simple to just say blame everything on the goalie. There's other parts that weren't good also. We realized the goalies did not play to the expectation we had, but there's a lot more issues that goes into it. So I've talked to all the goalies, and they know they have a lot to prove, and it's not going to be good enough to come back at the same level. And if we have a chance to improve, we're going to have to seriously consider it.
Danny, back to the coaching search, with the exception of, I think,
I don't know. I think I have much to add to that. That's just a clear problem. Obviously, every goal isn't on the goalie. I trust NHL teams have some sort of video coach that goes back to look at every goal and be like, all right, who was to blame on this? Was this goalies? Was this a specific player? Was it just a team breakdown? And like they kind of look at, how many goals would they have saved if they had like a league average goalie?
I think someone in the Slack chat, I don't know if the article is forthcoming or not, but basically the conceit of it is Sam Ersson is really good when he sees shots. Flyers block a lot of shots, or at least under the Torts system. And that's not his ideal situation, I guess. I don't know, maybe a less block focused system would help Sam Ersson be a better goaltender. Because you just have to trust your goalie to make the save sometimes. Get out of the way, let them see the shot, and make the stop. So when he talks about systems or players making a mistake and it reflects on the goalie, that's kind of where my mind goes, is maybe a small system tweak could help the goalies.
Yeah, I think a system tweak could help the goalies. I think having, a backup goalie that they can trust, and Ersson's not looking over, even when he's benched, being like, all right, I might have to go in tonight. If they have a Gibson or a Jake Allen or Alex Lyon or someone there.
Damn it. Say Gibson one more goddamn time.
It's like the Sean Walker jar we had last year. It's going to be the Gibson jar for me. But yeah, you are not ready to give up on Sam Ersson, you said.
No, I am not, and I don't think anyone should. There are so many in the goalies in the last few years that have peaked around the age of 27. Right now we're watching Anthony Stolarz. He put on a clinic against the Senators yesterday. Alex Lyon got the Panthers into the playoffs 2 seasons ago and was fine with Detroit until he got injured. Outside of former Flyers, you have Joey Decord and Logan Thompson, who I've talked about before. You even look at Linus Ullmark, and he didn't become Ullmark until he was around 27, a year or two before he was traded to Boston and became a Vezina winner. We get caught up in looking at goalies like Shesterkin and Sorokin. Do you know how old they were when they played their first full NHL seasons?
I think they were 24, 25, right?
20. That's when they joined the league, but they weren't starters until they weren't starters until the age of 26.
Yeah.
I think we get kind of a skewed look at goaltending, especially because now Ersson's been here a few years. When Carter Hart was here, he joined the league when he was 19, 20? He was super, super young for a goalie. I'm I'm not ready to give up on Ersson because he is, what, 25? He's 25. If in 2 or 3 years he looks the same as he does now, then I'm more open to being like, yeah, this isn't the guy. But we've seen these 1A goaltenders really hit their prime at ages like 26, 27, 28. You can tell he's not a starter. Most of the time you can tell a guy's not a starter by the age of like 23, 24. But you don't know if they're going to be, they could still reach that 1A level or at least be a 1B. So I'm not ready to fully quit on Ersson and for another 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left on his deal, $1.45 million. Then he's an RFA, so Flyers still have his rights. And yeah, he needs a full season where he goes in with a defined role, and he has that role for the entire season. 2 years ago, he was the backup to Hart. He got thrust into being the starter and got worn down the stretch. This past season, he was a starter and injuries. And you thought, okay, maybe Fedotov or Kolosov would be a decent backup. Like they could at least, be decent where you're not, screaming every time they're in net. But no, they weren't. So
Stop playing the puck, you idiots!
Stay in the crease. Stay in the crease. Where are you going? Where are you going? So,
hold on to your stick. Why is it so hard to hold on to your fucking stick?
So yeah, get him a goalie. You can a tandem goalie, whether it's I'm not going to say it again. One of those goalies I mentioned, some veteran, even I don't know. Give him someone where he can be the 1A or even the 1B to a 1A, and give him a year of how many starts did he have this year? He had 45 starts this year, 49 starts the year before. Give him 40 starts. Have him rest a bit more, and see how that goes. So goaltending, always a huge story in Philadelphia.
Yes.
4 guys, all of whom I'm pretty sure won a cup for their respective teams. Every other team in the league has changed its coach within the last 2 or 3 years. Is that just the way the league is? I mean, do you view this as your opportunity to hire someone who can be here for a long time? How do you view that?
Ideally, I'd have to have a coach that's going to be here for the next 25 years and make my life a lot easier. I think it depends too on who's there, who's available. I haven't looked into it deep enough at this point to really know if there's candidates out there that can be here for a really long time. Obviously, if you go with a younger guy, you don't have that certainty. You don't know. But we want to not just interview older guys or younger guys. Like I would like to consider different coaches, different point of views, and then as a group we'll kind of make a decision on who makes more sense for us. Like I said earlier, with the team that we have a younger team that is just starting to come together, just starting to explore how far and how good they can be. So those are things that you keep in consideration when you talk to a coach. I really like what Torts did, to be honest, the last few years with this group. Made him accountable. He was hard, but he demanded a lot. The accountability part really, I think, is going to leave something good for the next coach that comes into place. And now it's finding a coach that can take it to another level, but at the same time, maybe give a little bit more freedom to the players to try things and to let their talent come out. And we saw a little bit of that with Shazi. The last few years, even before I was GM, when I was in the organization, like we kept hearing, the Flyers don't have enough skill, enough talent. Like that was always kind of the thing that was holding us back. That was kind of the message out there. And I start to look, with Konechny has elevated his game. Matvei Michkov coming over has really expanded that level of skill. Tyson Forster brings another level. Owen Tippett is in his own way can create offense by himself. We're starting to see more and more talent, and that talent is elevating on a team. And we have some of the young guys like Luchenko and Bump especially come to mind. Barkey, those are all high level skill player. So I think we're shifting away from what we were a few years ago with the lack of skill. So that's really exciting to me. And it's gonna have to be a coach that can tap into that and let that even get better and better.
I really in that vein, the power play was, I think before the season you said the power play wasn't all of a sudden going to be a top 10 power play in the league. You said, I think you used the word
small steps.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Really, they really didn't seem like they were taken this year. What was the issue? Why is it?
Well, there was baby steps this year. We went from 12 to 15%. Is it good enough? Absolutely not. Yeah, but there's baby steps.
It's like not anything you're going to brag about.
No, it went from 32 to 30. That's a baby step. That's a baby step. I mean, I know you wanted to go get in the top 15 right away, but it's not going to happen that way. I mean, Matvei Michkov coming in helped, but Matvei has so much to learn on how to run a power play. I was really excited to see our guys think outside the box at the end when they went with 5 forwards. I thought that was fantastic to see something different. And that group actually, gave us some different looks. I thought they moved better. They were able to make more plays, more puck possession inside the zone. We probably should have gone that way earlier in the season or checked it out. So there was some improvement. Again, not nearly good enough, but there were some baby steps. And I'm going to expect a better or bigger step next season when it comes to that. The part that excites me is, the skill level growing on our team, guys being willing to make more plays. And that's going to start with guys like Konechny, Michkov, and Forster, for example.
With regards to the structure. So,
yeah, I like Briere there laughing about its baby step. Yeah, 12-15, 32 30th. Like, yeah,
but the Islanders had like the worst power play of modern NHL history. I don't know if saying, "Oh, we were better than that," is the dunk he thinks it is. No, what I liked is him saying we have a lot more skilled players than we did a few years ago, and they're going to keep coming. Everyone is always like, "Oh, the Flyers only draft bottom sixers. They only draft two-way," and I'm like, guys, a lot of the players they've drafted, they're either going to be in the top 9 or top 6 even, or they're not going to be in the NHL at all. Like, they won't be able to translate that skill to professional hockey. We just don't know. But those are the kind of swings you need to make, and I'm glad Briere is acknowledging that.
Yeah, I would like to see them bring in someone with like power play experience, whether it's a forward to help Michkov on the other side or a defenseman. But like looking at I'm not. It's not him. I'm backing down from bringing him back. But it's looking at the UFAs. I'm not sure who they can bring in. Maybe there's someone they have their eye on via trade. Like,
what if it's for Benkin?
He's more of a net front guy. Like, I want someone that can.
Cool. We need that. Who's the net front?
We do need that. Like, yeah, I guess if you bring Benkin net front, have Michkov on one side, have Konechny on the other, have someone at the point, and have like
Drysdale, and then Forster's your trigger guy.
Who's your face-off man then? Though you need a center. Luchenko. I guess Luchenko would be the bumper guy in the middle.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that works.
Or Coots.
I'm okay with Coots.
Yeah, Coots had a decent end of the year.
He doesn't have to move. If he's in the slot, he doesn't have to move. He just stands there and kind of like gets the puck all around. Yeah, it'd be fine.
I forget what game I was watching like a week or two ago. They were talking about their power play, how because of their handedness, depending which side the puck was on, like one guy would be in the slot as the bumper for a one-time option, but if it was on the other side, they would swap. I think it may have been Toronto with like Tavares and Nylander in the middle, like one left, one right. But something like that where you have guys that can move around and you're not just stagnant.
Yeah. You need players that can threaten a scoring chance from any position. Nylander can score from anywhere. Tavares can score from anywhere. Tyson Forster's he's getting better, but he was, when he lets that shot go from the face-off circle, you're like, oh, sheesh, there's his spot. But
put him in the OV spot. Put him in the OV spot on the power play, and Michkov on the other side.
Tyson Fovechkin. Tysovi. God damn it, that's it. All right.
Just keep it simple sometimes. Keep it simple. All right, we got 6 minutes left here, so let's
do it.
When you got the GM job and when they hired Keith Jones as president of hockey operations, Dan Helfrey talked about it being a triumvirate of leadership with you, Jonesy, and John. The next head coach, is the plan to kind of slide him into that triumvirate, or is it going to be different? Was John unique because of his stature and his experience, where he was kind of in that triumvirate, I guess, as Dan called it?
Yeah, I mean, the next coach is going to be included in what we do, and as far as the plan and the message and all that, it also depends to which degree on his experience. Torts has been around, had so much experience, and probably the most experience, out of that group at the time. So a lot of it will depend on how experienced the next coach is.
The coaching hire is a really big one for you and for Keith Jones, and I know sometimes going the college route is considered like a bold choice, but would you be willing to take a risk on a college coach if it's the right fit?
If it's the right fit, if it makes sense, and I know I've read your stories, and I know there's some names that you're interested in, and we're definitely going to look into it.
You were in the room when Torts was hired, but obviously Chuck made that decision. What did you learn from that experience that you're going to take with you into whatever interview process you're going to go through the next guy?
It makes me way more comfortable going through it now. The first time around, I was more of an eye in the sky kind of thing. I'm very grateful that Chuck gave me the chance to be involved, to see how it works, what to do. Something as simple as, what are the questions you ask when you're trying to find your next head coach. So I'm very grateful that Chuck gave me that chance, and I feel way more comfortable going into it. I saw the process. I feel like I've been through it, and I still have all my notes from the previous search. So like I said, I feel comfortable about it going into it.
I'm not thrilled about taking advice from Chuck Fletcher.
Well, no, he has notes about what not to say. So that's what you need sometimes. You need to see someone do something wrong and be like, all right, don't do that.
Yeah, just big letters, don't.
No, I forgot who. It might have been Micah who tweeted about it. It was like, someone can hire me, an NHL team can hire me, and I can tell them, no, don't do this 5 times a year, and it would be worth it.
Yeah, pay me $1 million a year to say don't do that 5 times.
Yes,
every year, and I would be worth every penny.
Yeah, but go back to the power play. Get a new coach in here. Get a new power play coach. Maybe put Danny Heatley on the bench. I know he's in the organization. John LeClaire, someone like that, or just someone from outside. Andrew Brunette, if he's fired, like someone like that.
Come on, please. I'm manifesting that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is bringing in a new power play coach. Because like Briere mentioned, like, oh, I like that we did 5 forwards for the final 10 games. Why not try that before, when you're 0 for the month of March? I guess that's when they tried it, is the month of March. But like, yeah, do that earlier in the year when you have these guys. But yeah, just a lot of questions here and quotes about the coaching search, which ultimately is a bunch of nothing. With all due respect to the questions in Briere, it's like, okay, whatever happens, happens.
Do you think that part of the decision to fire the coach was to make it the focus of these exit interviews instead of like other topics, like fire, like how Torts would make himself the center of attention so that the players weren't getting blasted in the media? Do you think, like, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on here for this one, that he fired Torts to kind of steer the conversation for these exit interviews?
Did you borrow that tinfoil hat from the Flyperbole cupboard to bring that over here?
Yeah, Steve Jaco made me one custom.
It's a Steve Jaco special. I could see that, yeah, because like if they fired him after the year, like if they fired him this week or next week, I don't know what the focus would be on in these interviews. So
how bad the goaltending was.
Goaltending, yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, because like half of this presser has been about the coaching search. So
yeah, because the rest of it would just be like, okay, so what's the plan? I don't know, whatever makes sense, if it makes sense.
I guess maybe more questions about like what type of player they would be looking for, what type of move they'd be looking to make. But we know this team, like this front office, they're not gonna say anything that's gonna mean too much.
No.
All right, 4 minutes left there.
The season, and we talked to him obviously through the interpreter. Is there anything you can tell us about him that maybe isn't very well known or understood yet, that you've seen behind the scenes that maybe fans might be interested in?
Yeah, well, the one thing I can tell you is it's impressive how minded he is. I've been around a few superstars, and he's got that mindset. He came in, he has a detailed plan of all the things he wanted to do, and I was actually shocked by how prepared he was for his meeting, and he knew exactly what he needed to do and how he wants to conduct himself this summer. Yeah, just this morning actually. He's a special athlete person. He sees it. He's extremely intelligent. He's got a different mind. It's part of the reason that makes him who he is. There's something special around him, just on how his approach. What he was telling me, and all the things that he learned this year, and I was amazed by. Usually you don't expect that from a 20-year-old to come in and tell you, how he's looked around the league and he's looked at players and where they have success and why they have success and what he needs to do. And usually guys get that in their 30s or when the careers start winding down. I know I did, and it was too late almost to recover. He's got an impressive mind and mindset and approach. I left the meeting like laughing to myself, like, wow, this if he accomplishes half of the thing he has on his list to do, we're in really good shape. So having Matvei come in this year rather than wait an extra 2 years, the culture shock, the language, learning from Torts and his staff, understanding a little better how everything works around here. Like navigating an NHL dressing room is not easy, especially when you come in as a superstar trying to fit in to a group that's already kind of looking at you sideways, like, okay, here's the savior coming in. This is not an easy room or any room to walk into. The way he did it, and at the same time trying to keep his swagger. I'm so glad he went through that this year. I think the players are he earned their respect by how he carried himself. He's a hard worker. He always is looking to improve. So I'm really excited with him. What the stuff that he was able to do. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think he would score even 20 goals this year. I didn't think he would, get to half a point a game. And there's so many facets of his games that are not quite there yet. It's really, really exciting what happened with him this year.
Yeah, it's just Matvei Michkov has been incredible season. Thank God we had him this season. We saw fun hockey. Michkov 60 points, 63 points, 26 goals, almost a hat trick in the. But he can't get the hat trick. Maybe he is a bust after all.
Well, as Steve Jaco of Flyperbole likes to say, the Matt trick, which I love. I think that's so good.
Yeah, I want to go back and listen to our podcasts from before the season. What were our expectations from each? Because his point total over under was 46 and then 48.
Yeah.
And he blew past that. I think his goal total was around 20. He got to 26. And that was primarily at even strength. He had 8 power play goals, 9 power play assists. His point per 60 at 5-on-5 was 2.34, which is 24th in the league among players with at least 1,000 minutes played. Right up there with Nathan McKinnon. Right up there with Clayton Keller, Braden Point, John Tavares, Adrian Kempe, Alex Tuck, Philip Forsberg, Wyatt Johnston. He's really, really good at 5-on-5. Konechny up there as well, 1.99. I know Brink was up there too. I don't think he played 1,000 minutes. So the Flyers have 5-on-5 scoring down. It's just getting that special teams and getting the goaltending.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, what's most inspiring to me about Michkov's season, the point totals are nice, all that jazz. He didn't get hurt once. Or at least not injured enough to miss time.
Mm-hmm.
As a rookie he was given as good as he got, right?
Yeah,
he was involved, he was physical, and it bodes well for his future that he was able to play. He would have played 82 if Torts hadn't scratched him twice, but maybe he got injured in one of those 2 games, so we don't have this conversation. You never know. Hockey's weird. But it bodes well that he didn't miss any time with injury. I cannot think of the last rookie to not. I guess Lane Hudson didn't miss any time, and I don't think Dustin Wolf did either. But
no,
Macklin Celebrini missed 2 months, maybe a month and a half. Connor Bedard missed 6-7 weeks. It's Leo Carlson missed time. Adam Fantilli missed time. Rookies get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Michkov held up. That bodes really well for his future. I'm really pleased with how that worked out.
Yeah, I'm looking back here at the most rookie even strength points. Going back, Michkov had 46.
That's his over under. If his over under was even strength points, that's what it was.
Let me go back to 2012, 2013, because that was the first lockout. Michael Bunting had 58. Barzell had 58. Panarin 53, Stone 50, Line 50, Yanni Gord 49, Austin Matthews 48, McKinnon 46, Connor 46, Heischer 46, Beniers, Michkov all 46. So,
wow.
He's
good company.
Great company there. Michael Bunting not so much. Yanni Gord was on the Lightning there, got some booing. But Michkov, he's going to be the best player on the Flyers, possibly as soon as next season. And it was also good to see him step up in big moments. Whenever he played against another Russian superstar like Kucherov or Ovi, he stepped up. And so that's good to see moving forward for when this team is back in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't know, man, if TK gets back to first half TK and sustains that over an entire season without burning himself out, maybe my 100-point prediction was the season too early.
Or we keep Konechny and Michkov on the same line and give them Couturier, give them Luchenko, give them someone in the middle, and get a decent power play. Yeah, that could easily be a big boom for the Flyers.
Love it. All right, let's wrap this one
last
up.
Question.
Minute left.
We didn't get to speak to was Igor Zamula. Is there any update that you can provide? Is it because of injury or anything?
No, I'm not sure why. I just had a talk with him. He was in a good place mentally. What I said earlier about getting pushed, he had that message. It was loud and clear. He's an NHL defenseman. He has to decide now. If he is content with where he is, but he's a player that has the skill level and the size to move up. So it's really all up to him how he dedicates himself to taking that next step. So that was my message to him.
Yeah, I think he.
Something that kind of lingers. Yeah.
Let me stop sharing this. He didn't speak, and also Risto didn't speak. Were the two guys that I think did not speak that I saw. It's weird that Zamula didn't speak if he was there. I don't know if Risto is still there or if he's recovering somewhere from his surgery, but Zamula is someone that impressed me, especially in the second half of the season. He's been someone that's been able to hold his own. He's not someone that just like, oh, he's on the team because he's Michkov's best friend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his long-term fit on this team is. I don't think he's going to be more than a third pair guy when all is said and done. I mean, maybe they trade him as part of a package this offseason. He's got 1 year left on this current contract, I think. So cost effective for another year. Maybe he's a deadline thing. I don't know. I don't have the highest of expectations, but I also wouldn't just trade him for like a 7th round pick. That doesn't make any sense. Like for what? To what end?
Yeah, no, he could be like a throw in for whether it's a goalie or a power play guy or whatever. Just, because teams were interested apparently at the deadline, 1.7 million next year, then an RFA. Yeah, like Briere said, it's up to him to see where he wants to go, like push himself or whatnot. Because
steady, cost controlled third pair defenseman who could run a second power play unit. Like
can he run a second power play unit, Joe? He could. I guess anyone could for the Flyers.
If someone gets injured, like most teams, they've got their power play 1, they've got their power play 2, and then if the defenseman that runs power play 2, so really third unit, but he can fill in during a playoff run to at least make it competent.
Yeah. So Zamula. I don't think there's going to be many defensemen pushing for playing time next year. Andre maybe, Bonk maybe, but I feel like they're going to give him some time in the AHL. Like maybe if Sealer gets hurt, Zamula can move up. But Zamula seems like a good third pair guy. Can play both sides. So I'm
Ginning, Gruns, McDonald.
Whatever.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in camp because you don't know.
Right. Yeah, that was Briere's breakup day presser. Let us know what you thought about that. If it was too long, if we should pick out segments next time. If you liked it, we could do more things like that. Maybe looking through some certain players or pre-draft stuff. So let us know in the comments on Spotify or in the Discord or on Blue Sky or wherever there. Let us know in the YouTube comments too. So you know what to do moving forward.
Should we check in on some players before we get out of here? We're here, we're doing it. Should we just let's do it for gold
here?
Right.
Flyers did not appear to be wrong about trading any of these guys. Joel Farabee, 3 goals, 3 assists in 31 games with Calgary. Morgan Frost, 3 goals, 9 assists in 32 games. But you said 7 of those assists came on the power play.
They did, yeah. So, we're going to just wrap up by checking in on some Flyers and how their seasons ended after they got traded. Like you said, Farabee, yikes, 6 points in 31 games. That's not great. Frost, 7 assists on the power play. My guess is just that, having Jonathan Huberdeau to finish on your chances might be helpful. I don't know who scored those goals, but, having some finishing talent around you probably helps. But looks like the trade was the right thing to do, and happy trails, you two. Have fun together in Calgary. At least they have each other,
Yeah, at least they were traded together. They can go be best buds there in Calgary. Scott Lawton, 2 goals, 2 assists in 20 games with Toronto. The 1 goal was an overtime winner against Detroit, where he had 4 goals against them earlier this year. So ended the season on a 3-game point streak. Got an assist on the Leafs' opening goal in Game 1. He's definitely a physical presence in the playoffs. So I feel like he's someone that Leafs fans were not happy with during the regular season, but he could be a key part if this team can continue with Stolarz in net.
Yeah, and I think he played defense for 1 game because they were short a defenseman or something. I don't know if they actually played him there. And if you don't know, he's wearing number 24 with the Leafs. And he said that he's doing that in honor of Nick Seeler, one of his closest friends here in Philadelphia.
Also,
21, I think, is retired in Toronto, so he had to pick a new number.
I think you also said 24 because I think Wayne Simmons wore 24 with Toronto.
That
So two great former teammates from Scotty.
Or him and Simmons were on the Flyers at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have EJ, the big man, Eric Johnson. 1 goal and 1 assist in 14 games with Colorado, which is that's what Eric Johnson does. That's probably one of his higher scoring rates, honestly.
And he's
14 games.
And he's playing in the playoffs. He played 14 minutes in game 1 against Dallas there on the third pair with Sam Girard. So, good for him. Good for EJ.
Big vibes guy. The players have been like, oh, it's so good to have him back. Speaking of having back, Landeskog, game 3 in Denver. I mean, it's looking like it's happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're winning the cup if that happens. Like the boost from getting Landeskog back, they're winning the cup.
Avs look legit. They really do.
They look legit. And then last and certainly not least, Mr. Andrei Kuzmenko. 22 games with the Kings, 5 goals, 12 assists. That's 17 points for a 3rd-round pick. What a dynamite ad for the LA Kings. Really good work by them.
Yeah, just exactly what they needed, playing on the top line, the AK line there, Andrei Kuzmenko, Anze Kopitar, and Adrian Kempe. He didn't, first 7 games with the Kings, didn't really do too much, no points there, but not sure when that line got put together. Since March 22nd to the end of the season, 15 games, 17 points. So that's been great for them. Should be a fantastic series in the first round against the Oilers once again.
I think they've got it. We'll always have Andrei Kuzmenko scoring a goal and throwing his stick away as he does it. The greatest selly ever.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. Anything else you want to talk about today?
We'll continue to look at those guys throughout the playoffs. But no, let's just...
Except for the Flames. Except for the Farabee and Frost.
Yeah.
Sorry, boys.
But let's just finish it out with a tankathon. Flyers, 4th best odds here.
Come on, baby.
Here we go. Move up to 2. I'll take it. I'll take a move up to 2. That's fantastic there.
I want number 2 more than I want number 1. Because if they get the first overall pick, they might take Schaefer, which is cool. But I'm sure San Jose will take Schaefer. They have no choice but to take Misa. We said this last year when Bouillon was there and they chose Luchenko. But I digress. I think I almost want them to get the 2nd overall instead of the 1st.
If they do get 1, do you want Schaefer or do you want Misa?
I think I still go Misa, but I think they would go Schaefer.
I feel like if Schaefer is what people say he is and what he can be, that true number one defenseman that can anchor.
It's tough to pass up.
It's tough to pass up because you cannot find those guys. You can go out and overpay a little bit for a center. You can make do with 2 great wingers and a decent center, but getting a defenseman that can play 25 plus minutes a night, all situations, is really important.
But it's not enough to carry a team. Like I look at, maybe this is a bad example, but the Vancouver Canucks, Quinn Hughes is an otherworldly defenseman.
Yeah.
He cannot drag that team to the playoffs by himself.
No.
But when you have one of those all-world centers, like a McDavid or a McKinnon, not saying Misa is on that level, but you have a player of that caliber, been talking too much, as your 1C, that might be more, it might improve your odds a bit. You can do defense by committee. We've talked about it before. But filling that center, like top line center role, man, that makes a huge difference.
I thought you were going to say, like, look at Buffalo with Rasmus Dahlin. Look at
Detroit.
Look at Detroit with Mo Seider. Like, they have this top defenseman.
That is Dylan Larkin erasure.
I'm not even saying about a center. I'm just saying look at them with this top defenseman. Like, it's a great to have, but it's not pushing them to the playoffs. Like, even Zach Werenski with the Blue Jackets had a great season, but they fell off towards the end. But
Erik Karlsson with the Sharks 3 years ago, he had a 150 point season.
He's a glorified third winger when he's out there most of the time.
Okay,
yeah, he doesn't have the defense. He doesn't have the defense. He's a rover, as Torres said.
Sharks picked 4th that summer, by the way. Didn't make a lick of difference.
All right, that's going to do it here. A little bit of a longer one as we went over Briere's end of season presser. So, yeah, let us know what you thought in the YouTube comments. Like the YouTube video, subscribe, ring that bell so you know when we are going live. Subscribe on Spotify and Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts as well. And like and subscribe, read and subscribe, RoadStreetHockey.com. Joe, where can the people follow you?
You can find me at jfdemarini.bsky.social. Now that the hockey season is over, it will mostly be pics of my terrace garden, and that's probably
it does look
about
very
it.
nice. Yes, it does look very nice.
Yeah, thank you. How about you, Gibbs? Where can they find
Yeah,
you?
also follow me on Blue Sky at ryangilbert.bsky.social. If you're not on Blue Sky yet, get over there. We need
Get
more
over
sports people. We need more hockey people for the playoffs. Want to have some stuff going on over there. So
Hey, join for the Phils. You know, like Phillies are a team.
there's
Yikes.
definitely some Eagles brain going on with the Phillies on Blue Sky. So yeah, well, definitely on
It's
Twitter.
fun.
Blue Sky is
Yeah.
more rational. So
Is it? I don't know. Maybe different circles.
I don't know. All right. Until next time. Thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.